Closed captioning for The Casey Malone Show is sponsored by Hunter Stevens Land Title Agency. Integrity, service, and commitment you can trust.
Oh yeah, Casey Malone is serving up local. It's time for the stories of our region, the tastes, the sights, the sounds, and the people in and around the valley. Get ready for some local flavor on The Casey Malone Show.
Today, it's all about the music. We visit listener-supported radio station, The Summit, and interview Youngstown band, The Vindies. But first, another great local artist, J.D. Iker.
Starts out easier to say what you feel. Then time makes emotions into onion peels.
So for the last 10 years, you have been a full-time professional musician.
Yeah, I was teaching guitar lessons and kind of doing some scrappy music-related work in the first couple of years. But since about late 2012 or so, have been just a touring artist. Yeah,
and are getting quite a following.
Thanks. It's definitely in recent years I've seen a lot more of that support, which has been helpful. I think when people hear you're a full-time musician, we associate that with like limousines and private jets. But for me, it's been mostly just a lot more hustle, frankly. So I can't make it seem more than it is. But it's a lot of grinding away on the road.
How much of it's on you now, really, for your self-promotion?
Yeah. At the moment, I'm completely unsigned, so I have left various deals over the past couple of years, and I'm truly independent, so self-managed, self-release, and everything like that. So
it's got to be a daunting task.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been joking. I played more music before I was a professional musician because you spend so much time doing the web work and kind of behind the scenes, and you're also the one running your accounting and things like that. So it is. You learned a lot more than you wanted to, I think, when you set up. But at
least you don't have to worry about like your accountant or your manager ripping you off.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. It'll be my own fault when it happens. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
And I read that you had sold songs. I mean, I think this is really good. Black Keys, they made a lot of, you saw it through commercials and stuff, and that you sold to Virgin Airlines and to Olive Garden.
Yeah.
How was that? I mean, was that fairly lucrative? Did they come to you? How does that work when they want to use your music?
Yeah, so in both of those cases, I have some of my music is in these sync libraries, they're called. So it's folks who are like agents for licensing music to film, TV, ads, things like that. So I had some music signed to one of these libraries, and so they kind of brokered the deal. And they can be, one of them was very lucrative, one of them was fine. So it varies based on both the timing in the industry and also just the company you're working with and like the scale of the ad. So that Olive Garden was a national ad campaign. So that one basically allowed me to pay all the debts on that record.
That's great.
Yeah, and especially at the moment. I had so many loans from friends, and I mean, it is embarrassing to look at the ledger of that project, honestly. So when that came in, I didn't get to buy a jet ski or anything, but I got to like pay everything off, which was great.
Every song on the album is quite different, or on your EP rather. And I love Evergreen is the one I just love that song. I am a Summit listener, and they really are giving you great promotion.
They are awesome.
I mean, they are.
Yeah.
Where would you be without them? I mean, as any other locally, stations played your songs?
Well, there have been some other stations that have very kindly picked up a song or two here or there, but the Summit certainly was the earliest and the most
and then they have the performances, where they invite you in the studio and they do the 330, and I mean, I think that station is perfect for these regional musicians that really have no way to be heard. When you were growing up, who did you listen to?
Yeah, all kinds of folks.
What are your influences?
Yeah, I love Damien Rice, David Gray, John Mayer. I'm a huge Paul Simon fan. I love him. And obviously like the Beatles and Queen and some of these classic acts that are required listening, if you ask me.
You've opened up for quite a few, major bands, major acts.
Yeah, I've had some good.
Did you get to, interact with a lot of them, or were a lot of them tough?
Sometimes. The big names like a Coldplay or the Maroon 5 names on the list of acts.
Yeah.
It sounds bigger than it was. I was like either a side stage or like way before the band came on. So they're
pretty separated.
Yeah.
We'll find our way two by two, two by two. We'll make it through two by two.
So you toured the bookstore circuit with Nicholas Sparks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How did that relationship with 2 by 2, his book, start to include you and your music?
Yeah, it is an interesting. That project comes with a lot of questions because it's such a unique thing. But basically, so Nicholas Sparks, who wrote The Notebook and Walk to Remember and all these, kind of epic at this point love stories.
Yes.
He wanted a song inspired by his newer novel called 2 by 2, and so he was looking for a musician to write the song and then to bring along on the tour. And so I was lucky at the time. I had a distribution deal through Warner ADA, which is a company that he was working with, and so they pitched my songs to him, and so he heard me amidst some other artists and was like, yeah, let's talk to this guy. And it was just a lucky thing. And so kind of went off to me talking to him on the phone about the book, and he was finishing it and telling me how it was going to end and everything, which was exciting kind of in its own way. Wrote the song and recorded it, and he and I were back and forth about the song, and then I went on the book tour with him, and we were kind of all over a number of stops across the country. And I always say, some nights it was an evening with, and it was like 1,000, 1,500 people in a theater, and I would get to play the song and they'd interview him, and then other nights I was just in a Barnes & Noble in between two bookshelves strumming. Everyone's like, "What? Is he allowed to be here?"
When it all comes down, we got each other. We got each other.
No, I got nothing else. So I got to figure this out.
When you started college, you said, "I think I'm going to be a professional musician."
Halfway through college, I started off with a business administration coursework, and then I fell in love with songwriting, and I had been writing a little bit, but I really fell in love in college with it. And I remember, telling my parents I was going to shift gears and just, thanks. That's the plan. I have no fallback. There's nothing else going on.
Yeah, what would Plan B be? What would you do?
Something with more security, like maybe be a poet or something a little bit more tried and true with the income. But
2 by 2, we'll make it through 2 by 2.
The Casey Malone Show will be right back with more local flavor.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Bernard. I've been giving the people of our valley free advice for over 30 years, and my message has never changed. If you're involved in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident, don't try to handle it yourself. Call a lawyer. A lawyer will be your representative, dealing with doctors, medical insurance, and all the red tape that you may face. Hiring a lawyer doesn't mean you'll end up in court, and remember, there are no upfront fees on personal injury cases.
That's good advice. Need a lawyer? Learn more at elizabethbernardlaw.com.
R&S Paint is a locally owned paint store and not a paint department. Inspiration comes easy when choosing exciting Benjamin Moore colors and finish. Over 3,400 vibrant and durable colors are yours at R&S Paint.
Mayflower Woolham is your full-service, independent insurance agency. We work with several insurance companies to offer you choices for your insurance needs. We'll find the right product at the right price. Personal, business, farm, life, trust Mayflower Woolham. You focus on what's important, we'll take care of the details. Mayflower Woolham, close by with 3 locations to serve you.
Woolley Brothers has a great choice of quality cheeses. We use our relationship with Old Road Houses to specially select the product and then have it custom cut and packaged by our own local artisans. At Woolley Brothers Market, our family is in the store.
Join the Island Purple Cat family. Employment opportunities are available. Given is living.
Si hablas predominantemente español, te ayudaremos a aprender inglés. Ven a trabajar para nosotros.
The Summit Radio is Akron-based and broadcast locally on WKTL 90.7 out of Struthers Fieldhouse. It's a public radio station that is funded through listener support and plays an eclectic mix of music. In heavy rotation are local artists from Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania. Unlike corporate radio with mandated playlists and limited selections, it's a refreshing formula of independent and well-known artists.
So the music is under the direction of program director Brad Savage, and we're in Studio C, and this was built specifically for a performance space.
Right, yeah.
I mean, the acoustics in here,
Yeah.
this is an amazing space.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. We have a capacity of about 65 or 70 people in here. And pre-COVID, you know, we were averaging about 65 artist visits a year. Those are the member perks when you're a member of the station. You get the invites to attend and meet the artists and do the
Are those
the mini
random,
concerts.
you know, or is it people that prefer bands?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, we send out an email blast. It goes to our Red Guitar Club first, which is our top tier donors, and then we fill the rest of the seats with the general memberships. And sometimes we even take them on the road to other venues. We've done some as, you know, pre-show events at the Kent Stage or at Musica or wherever. So anyway, it's pretty sweet to do those intimate interviews and have the performances. Of course, recently they've gone online. We're doing them through like Zoom platforms and all, which is kind of neat, but it's not the same as having them in person. We've had everyone from local bands and new bands starting out, you know, like Youngstown favorite Demos Papa Demos, for instance, or Spirit of the Bear or the Vindies. But then we've had some bigger names, the Pixies. We had the Avett Brothers come in for a Studio C. I mean, you know, so it's a real mix of national artists and our hometown heroes.
Tell me about your background in radio before you came to Akron.
Well, I moved here specifically to join the Summit in fall of 2015 because my predecessor, Bill Gruber, was a 30-year program director at this station, and he retired. Like, how often? So that's longevity right there. First off, that doesn't happen in our industry. So it was nice to, you know, I knew there was some stability here, and I knew it was between Akron, Kent, Youngstown, all the musical history in the area. I knew it would be a good, astute, musically savvy type of place. And what really attracted me was the freedom, you know, the public radio freedom of playlists, the freedom to expose new artists, to actually play local artists like during the day, you know, and like during regular listening hours.
Unbelievable. Yeah, not some homegrown show that you slam in on a Sunday night.
I mean, and those shows are great, but like really, if you just put your local artists on Sunday night at 11 p.m., you're not really serving them as you are playing them next to U2 and the Beatles at 2 o'clock on a weekday, you know?
Exactly. What format? Now, this is considered adult alternative or AOR, really.
It's, I mean, I guess a lot of people that maybe grew up with DVE back in the day or WMMS, The Buzzard, you know, we're sort of like the modern equivalent to that free-form AOR feel. And in fact, we still play a lot of that classic music as well as part of our mix, you know, going back into Van Morrison and Cream and all the early Tom Petty and all, you know, but then we're exposing a ton of new artists and new indie rock and many different, you know, genres and sub-genres and everything. So
behind us is the Wall of Fame for all Northeast Ohio artists, which is also a part of Studio C. And Tommy Bruno, as general manager for 20 years, you have guided this ship through many changes. What was the format when you started?
So the gentleman over your shoulder is Bill Gruber. Bill Gruber started in 1986, and in 1987 answered the phone. I made a phone call and said, I love radio, like you, Casey. I said, I love this station, can I volunteer? So Bill, who just retired, 30 years in radio, what a concept. I mean, retired with a pension and left on his own terms. Left on his own terms. So, you know, Bill was responsible. He was that early architect in the mid-'80s to kind of formulate a sound that wasn't heard on other stations. And Bill and I had the, you know, privilege of working together for about 15 years until he retired, and then you spoke to Brad, and Brad Savage came in about 3 or 4 years ago. So what was the format then? It was modern rock, and yeah, I mean, you know, and it's progressed ever so slowly. It's been an evolution, not a revolution. You know, to be honest with you, Casey, when we raised $1 million to build this thing, and we had people give $50,000, $75,000, $100,000. But when we had to make a choice as to what to name the building after, we named it after Bill.
You know, we have the student or the school system owned KTL.
Correct.
In Struthers out of our field house. And that revenue, you know, the school can't support this radio station, but I mean, it's there for training purposes. The kids, you know, that when I've been down there on the weekends, that do stints and that, and it is a good asset to have.
Well, it's an asset, Casey, that, you know, what we said to Struthers was, it's an asset that once you sell, you'll never get it back.
Yes.
And, you know, I think we feel it's really important as we celebrate 10 years in the Valley. We're coming up on 10 years that we've had this partnership with the wonderful Struthers City Schools. It's too important of an asset to have a community public radio station that celebrates the arts and celebrates music. And fortunately, through we're our third superintendent, they've all seen the value of having a station like ours that doesn't cost them any money. So we pay all the bills of running that station, maintaining it. We put games on Friday nights.
Are you going to be the next Bill Gruber? Are you going to be here? Are you going to do your 35 years?
Well, it's funny because, and you know this from media, I mean, my goal is to walk out on my own terms. And, you know, that wasn't always the case in big television. You know, I saw many a person. So my goal is to leave it much better than I found it. And yeah, Bill is my mentor, and you know, he was in my wedding, and he's a really important person in my life.
The Casey Malone Show will be right back with more local flavor.
To own a business where your name's on the window can be pretty cool. That's my family. My name is Danny Catullo, and I'm the owner of Catullo Prime Meats. My grandfather started the business in 1962. I was able to take our old style butcher shop and bring it out to the new age using e-commerce to get our products to more customers. When we started shipping, there was not a ton of information out there. That's where we really worked with FedEx so they could be able to help us with our perishable shipping. We were taking on new purchases that we never had to make before. Boxes, coolers, ice packs, anything that was involved around shipping. So we can no longer do this with the cash that we had on hand. So because of the Plum Card from American Express and all of its benefits, it was a natural fit to help grow our business. And when someone calls and lets you know that you made their dinner, that's satisfaction that you can't get anywhere else.
My basement was dreadful. Cracked concrete, chipped tiles, it was my dumping ground. Carpet, vinyl, wood don't last. Now I have Pebblestone, the best basement floor covering, made with natural stone and the strongest man-made binder. Pebblestone evened out my floor. Easy to clean, resists moisture, and withstands flooding. You will love your basement. Call locally owned Pebblestone, the best flooring system. It's not just any stone, it's Pebblestone.
Rulli Brothers is way ahead of the competition. Check out Rulli Spice World, where you can buy bulk herbs and spices, plus candies, nuts, and fillings for pennies on the dollar. At Rulli Brothers Market, our family is in the store.
Here at Creekside Fitness and Health Center, we are focused on you, from cardio and strength equipment to classes and personal training.
Your all-inclusive membership gives you access to a full-size basketball court, pool, hot tub, sauna, and steam room. And over 60 classes per week are all included free with your membership.
Membership and personal training specials are happening now, so come experience life on the fit side at Creekside, your neighborhood gym.
Selling engagement rings never gets old. It's love.
It's a huge on-taping because they're going to wear that ring probably forever, but if they're not going to wear it forever, they're going to pass it down to somebody.
Our rings will hold a lifetime, and we want to make sure it does. We stand by every single thing that we sell. I believe I can find the perfect ring. I really try to get them exactly what she would want.
And to just be a little part of that is really, it warms your heart inside.
Get real, get Kamara.
He is back. That's right, Rude, the dude from the Magic Tree Pub and Eatery is open for business. Oh, so glad.
Yes, Casey. First, I want to thank everybody, all of our guests that have supported us over the last few weeks. It's been amazing just to see the response. But yeah, we're back in effect. Patio's open, inside dining's open. We're back to full menu. We'll be supporting all of our farms again, all of our local breweries, back to our happy hours, our weekend specials. So, you know, we're following all the guidelines. The staff's excited, and it's just, we're ready just to get back and keep going.
Farm to table, great service, of course, a huge selection of beer and wine, and oh, I am just so glad. I missed you, Rudy.
Yes, we are looking forward to it. So thank you again to the community, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody.
Come on out, Magic Tree Pub and Eatery.
Is it time to update your color style? R&S Paint will assist you with your choice of over 3,400 Benjamin Moore colors. Vibrant, durable, and easy to apply. Be current, be stylish. Shop R&S Paint.
Well, did you know that every Wednesday night it is Whiskey Wednesday? And that is when the Vindies put on a live Facebook feed for their fans. And we're doing an interview with them because they had their live performance that we captured. And so now we're going to talk to the band. And we have got, now I got to get everybody right here, John and Jackie, and we've got Rick and we've got Ed. So we're going to talk to the Vindies and see what they're up to.
You know, a lot of people ask us, like, you know, how do you get your sound? But honestly, it's been kind of organic in the way that we kind of have all of our own flares, different genres that we bring to the table. And it's kind of fun kind of melding them all together at the end of the day. That was what we get, especially live on stage. So to do a live performance at the West Side Bowl, that was really special for us to do in Youngstown.
Now, when you guys decided on the Vindies as your name, you know, and, you know, honoring your local roots, what other names did you have other than the Vindies?
I recall the Youngstown Tune-Ups.
I like that one.
In consideration, you don't know what that is. That is when they used to put like a bomb in your car.
Mm-hmm, then you'd go to start it, and then you're gone. What are you listening to? Like, what are your biggest influences?
My biggest influences are, starting off like Van Halen, and my mom listened to a lot of Bob Seger in the car and Elvis. And that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of the classic rock stuff. But then like Ed and I, we met when we were in grad school, like listening to a lot of jazz. So we were like doing like the Steely Dan phase, Frank Zappa phase, that kind of thing. So like our ears are everywhere, as Jackie kind of mentioned as well. So.
Where are you doing your recording when you do that? Where do you guys go?
We've been very fortunate to have met Michael Estock, who now owns Court Street Studios, which is literally around the corner here in Canfield. Honestly, it was a weird happenstance where I met him. I was working one summer renting Penske trucks, and he was returning a truck because he had just moved home from Nashville. And it was like, oh, what are you doing coming home? And we got chatting about music, and one thing, you know, we became friends before we started working together. So.
what else are you crazy kids up to now?
And actually, I mean, today's Wednesday. We do our Whiskey Wednesday, but we consider this our office hours because we'll do the live feed on Facebook, but we'll also sit around and take care of business, return emails.
Yeah.
We talk about ideas. We talk about songs. We talk about what we're doing, promotion. But at this point, you don't need a label, but sometimes you need some of that machine behind you.
Of course, it would be. Of course, it would make things always, a little easier. You guys are tired. Now, how did it come to be? Are You Ready? Gets picked up by the Pirates, the Pittsburgh Pirates. How did that happen?
So Craig McConnell from over at AT&T Sportsnet, he messaged us and really liked one of our songs off of the last album that we had, and he said, "Can we use your song, but can we change the lyrics to do something more, sports or something?" And I said, "No."
Really?
I said, "What if we write you something better?" Because we can, and I didn't want to change the lyrics of a song that I already wrote, that's already been out. So, so Rick and I got together. He had this cool lick, and I was like, "Are you ready? Come on, this is like easy sports, The exposure has been insane, like throughout the country, even because there's a lot of backers bars for the Pirates, and like my dad was on vacation watching me in Hilton Head on the TV.
Really? Oh my god!
He had the whole crowd going. So like we're pinging in South Carolina and like over in Texas or
very
like
cool.
weird, random cities. So.
The Casey Malone Show is sponsored in part by Denise and John York and the DeBartolo Corporation.